This wife wants to take revenge on her husband. It all started when he was working quietly, when his mistress pretended to trip to fall into his arms. She apologizes and says that she twisted her foot. The man, as a good person, does everything to help her at that moment and holds her in his lap, so that she doesn't force her foot on the floor. Then he takes the woman into the house, placing her on the sofa and helping her at that moment. The woman asks him to take off her shoe, and the man does so, still wanting to help her. She asks if her foot is swollen, and the man thinks it is. The mistress apologizes for getting in his way, but the man says it's okay, because it was a dangerous thing that happened to her. She says she thinks she turned her foot while walking. And she says it's very lucky that the man was there at that moment. Still being a very good and careful person, the man continues to analyze if something serious happened to his mistress's foot. He explains that he doesn't understand much about these things, but it seems to be swollen, but he thinks it's better to talk to his wife. However, the mistress quickly denies this, saying that it's no use, as she has asked his wife to go to the market and that she will be delayed. She thinks that the man can take care of her alone. Then the man suggests that she can go to the doctor. But again she refuses, saying that he can rest easy. Then, taking advantage that he is there, she says that she has noticed that he is a very interesting man, who needs care. And she wonders if his wife hasn't been taking care of him properly, the way he deserves. But the man replies that she has. And the mistress keeps talking, that she thinks he needs a woman who will give him attention. The man tries to change the subject, by talking that getting up might hurt her, because of her foot. But she says that she is not leaning on her injured foot. Then she goes back to talking about how he needs someone to give him the attention he deserves, and questions whether he understands what she is saying. The man says that he needs to look at some things on the door, because it is broken, just an excuse to get out of that awkward conversation with his boss. And she says she'll wait for the clerk to come back. The man leaves the room, while the mistress is just watching him, full of ulterior motives. Meanwhile, the wife had observed everything that happened, and takes the moment to call her husband, just to test to see if he would answer the phone. She listens as her husband's phone begins to ring. But she doesn't imagine that it was the mistress who heard it ringing, and when she realizes who is calling, she refuses the call immediately. Soon after, the man enters the room, saying that he heard his cell phone ringing and that it might be his wife. But the mistress says that his wife will be a long time, and that the two of them will be alone in the house for a while. The man still thinks it's better to call his wife. But the mistress says that his wife won't arrive now, that she will be a while, because she asked her to buy many things at the market. But the man thinks that if his wife called, he'd better call her back. He doesn't even pay attention, making her more and more impatient. So he uses the moment to call his wife, while being watched by his wife. The wife, who is hiding, sees her husband calling, but cannot answer, so she refuses her husband's call. The man realizes that he has not been answered. And the mistress says that she has already told him that everything is fine, so the man ends up accepting this, and stops calling his wife. But with much insistence, he decides to call her again. The man says that if his wife called, she must be worried about something. But again she doesn't take his call. The mistress says that she is going to her room, and says that if the man needs anything, he can call her. Then each one goes their separate ways. Moments later, the woman takes advantage of the moment to call her friend. She says that she has some news to tell her friend, and asks her if she remembers that she said that there's a very handsome stonemason working in her house. Then she tells her that she's going to make out with him that same day, and that she will not go beyond that day. She confirms that he is the husband of her maid, but says that she has already solved the situation. She says that she had her maid make a huge shopping list, at a market that is very far away, so it will take her a long time to arrive. So she has already organized everything to be left with her housekeeper. Her friend says that she is terrible, but the woman laughs, saying that she couldn't possibly let a man like that come to her house every day. She says that everything is too easy, so she can't let him pass by at all. Then she says that she will tell her friend everything, and that she will call later, when everything has already happened according to her plans, because that day will not pass. Then she says goodbye to her friend, and ends the call right after that. After that, she is going to her room, when the man approaches and calls her. He approaches the woman on the stairs, saying that he thinks he understands what she wants. Then he suggests that the two of them can talk upstairs. And she agrees, saying that he deserves something better, a better woman, who will give him everything he deserves. They have no idea that the man's wife is watching. The man says he's going to speak his mind about it. Then the two agree to go upstairs to the bedroom so that they can talk, and the woman takes him to her room without hesitation. While the wife, angry at the betrayal, decides to take revenge on her husband, she ends up taking a glass bottle for her revenge. Meanwhile, upstairs the two enter the bedroom and sit on the bed. The woman closes the bedroom door, so that they can have more privacy and everything, and then sits down next to the man. Then the man comments about his mistress, saying that he deserved a better woman. She agrees, saying that she knows exactly what he needs. As the maid walks up the stairs with the bottle in her hands, ready to end it all. Inside the room, the man asks his mistress to wait a bit, because he's just going to pick up a few things and be right back. The woman gets anxious, thinking that it could be a very good surprise, and says that she will wait for him in the same place. The wife quickly hides, realizing that her husband is leaving the room, while the mistress watches him, thinking that she's finally going to get what she wanted so badly. In the kitchen, the man opens the refrigerator and gets an egg in there. Then he takes his purse from outside the house, and inside it, he takes a packet of medicine. While his wife is ready to finally take her revenge, but because she loves her husband so much, she doesn't have the courage to hurt him, so she hides again. The man gets all the things he needs, and then goes back to his wife's room. And the wife starts to cry, already imagining how much she's going to get hurt in that story. Minutes later, he returns to his room. He sits down next to her, and the woman already starts to question what his surprise is. Then he shows the egg in his hand to his mistress, who doesn't understand the reason for it. The man says that this was the only thing he had to eat at the beginning of his relationship with his wife, and asks if the mistress has ever been hungry. She answers no. And the man says that he and his wife have. The wife decides to listen to the whole conversation, even though she knows it can hurt her, but she finds out that her husband would never betray her like that, because it is not in his character. Inside the room, the man shows her the medicine card, saying that it was the medicine that his wife used to buy for him. When he was sick, and his wife was working and struggling, she bought the medicines for him when he was not well. Then he only had money from his wife, because only she could work, and his wife battled for both of them. At the end, he shows a picture with his wife, as he says that is the picture that both of them like the most. Because it was the day of their engagement, and that is the feelings that they both have for each other. Then, next time, he says that the mistress should be careful when seducing someone, because she never knows what the person has been through. She doesn't know what feelings the person has for someone else. There are many single people in the world that the mistress can look for. The mistress doesn't want to go out on a limb and says that she doesn't need to listen to his lecture, ordering him to take everything he brought into the room and get out of her face. She says she wants neither the man nor his wife working in her house, and orders them both to leave after gathering their things. Then she leaves the room right away, while the man is just watching in the bedroom. The mistress ends up finding the maid outside, getting a fright at that moment, ordering her to get out of her way, saying that she doesn't want her in the house anymore. And the maid says that she's the one who doesn't want to stay in her house. After that, she goes into the bedroom to find her husband. She tells him that she has overheard the whole conversation, that her husband has taught her a very important lesson from her mistress. Her husband apologizes, because now they are out of work. But she says she didn't even want to work there anymore. The husband says that the mistress is crazy, and wanted him to stay with her. And the wife says she's happy that he's proved to be a faithful man. And the two kiss happily, because everything worked out in the end.